Time together this Thursday. Let's turn our focus to Ethiopia and developments in that part of the continent. Ethiopian Investment Holdings, which is a strategic investment arm of the Government of Ethiopia, as well as the Dangote Group, have signed a shareholders agreement to develop, construct, as well as operate a world-class urea fertilizer production complex in Gode, Ethiopia. Under the partnership structure, Ethiopian Investment Holdings will hold a 40% equity stake, while Dangote Group maintains 60% ownership. The project will establish one of the world's largest single-site urea fertilizer production complexes, with production facilities boasting a combined capacity of up to 3 million metric tons per annum. For more on this, we joined this afternoon by Mered Fikireyohannes, founder and CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory. Very good to have you with us once again, Mered. Welcome.
Pleasure to be on the show. Thank you.
Now, this project is termed the largest industrial investment in Ethiopian history. How big will the fertilizer production complex actually be, and what impact is it set to have on the country's economy?
Yes, absolutely. I think as you mentioned it earlier in your opening, I think this will be one of the largest urea fertilizer complex in the world. And for Ethiopia, I think first of all, let's say this: Ethiopia is a net importer of imported fertilizers, right? We have one of the biggest agricultural in the world, in the country. We need fertilizers in terms of to produce our food, and we entirely import our fertilizers, and we spend up to $2 billion per annum in importing fertilizers, mostly urea and DAP, right? So in terms of to have this in our country, and then at the same time to produce it, and also not only satisfy the country's need, but also to become an export hub within the east of Africa, it puts the countries in terms of as one of the biggest producers of fertilizer. So mind you, in Ethiopia we import up to 1.5 million metric tons of fertilizers per annum, and having this facility and producing it locally, it would unlever the country becoming food independent in terms of making sure that you have enough food production within your country. So this is a huge milestone. At the same time, and given that Ethiopia has a huge for a natural gas facility, and also part of the shareholder comprehensive agreement, it also includes that it will develop the pipeline to develop the natural gas, which is a critical input for the fertilizer as well. So it is a big milestone for the country.
It certainly is. When we look at agriculture in Ethiopia, it employs around 70% of the country's citizens. How could a more affordable and consistent fertilizer supply actually impact farmers in reducing costs?
Yes, I think like here in Ethiopia right now, like if you see most of their input cost, up to 70% of their cost is fertilizers for a farmer, right? And then at the same time, we have around 30 million household farmers in the country that relies in import of fertilizers. So in terms of having this facility, it would reduce the cost significantly, and it makes sure that Ethiopia has sustainable agriculture, and it's sustainable in terms of feeding its population, and also more importantly also exporting its production outside of the country as well. So it plays a critical role.
I'd like us to just wrap up on this really quickly, but how might the reduction of the fertilizer imports that you've been speaking about, and you mentioned Ethiopia's current annual consumption of around 750,000 tons, how is this likely to affect the country's trade deficits as well as the currency reserves?
Yes, that's a good point. So right now, the maximum amount that we import as of last year is around 1.9 million metric tons of fertilizers, right? This production facility, once it starts production after 14 months, which is after almost 3 years, it would produce up to 3 million metric tons. So basically, Ethiopia will not any longer need to import any fertilizers from the global market. So which means it would would save up to at least $2 billion of foreign currency reserves that we usually spend for fertilizer would be used for the country's investment as well. So this is a big thing in terms of the need for fertilizers is growing as well. So basically, when the production starts, it would satisfies the country's import of fertilizers immediately.
All right, Mered, we'll have to leave it at that for this afternoon. But I hope we're going to have another opportunity soon just to focus on other developments that are taking place in Ethiopia today, specifically just looking at this deal between Dangote and the Ethiopian Investment Holdings. But let's make a date again for sometime next week as we look at other developments taking place in the country. We thank you for your time and insight once again, Mered.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's Mered Fikireyohannes, founder and CEO of Pragma Investment Advisory. He takes us to exactly 2 minutes to 5 p.m. Central African time. And we say bonjour, Joël.
Bonjour, Thami. Bonjour à tous les auditeurs de Channel Africa. On parlera sur Vue d'Afrique aujourd'hui du coup d'envoi